everybody else out there. I hope you're doing well this Tuesday evening, August 19th of 2014, Anno Domini. Welcome, 12th man, 12th lady, and Hawks Nation around the world. This is your show. Yes, I always say it is your show because it is 12 for 12s. 12 topics for the 12th man, hosted by yours truly, Paul Andrew Beyer. Yes, my middle name is Andrew. I hope everybody out there is doing fantastic this evening. I have been so busy on so many different things, whether it's working on the website, working on the shows, and other very exciting things that are happening in my life that I hope to share with you soon. But the bottom line is we got a show to do. A big show tonight, as always, lots of things to talk about, and I guess probably the first thing I want to mention is, or ask you, I should say, is how's the world treating you? I mean, it was real nice this last Friday to kind of see the team that we've gone to expect out there at the Clink. Granted, we still don't have our full team out there, or complement of team, but boy, the boys looked well. I think it was just great to get that energy from having them play in front of the 12s. I expected them to play not only much better than the first game, but I expected the guys that we know can play to do some special things, and they did. But I guess one of the things I want to start out with tonight in my introduction here is to just touch on this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I'm not sure if many of you have done this yet. I can tell you that I did. I posted the video on not only my site, 12for12s.com, but on Facebook as well. I was challenged by one of my buddies this last week, old buddy actually, brother of one of my best friends. And it's funny because it started out with my buddy's 6-year-old girl. I was over at their house dropping by last week on my way around town, and I came in and I actually started talking to the kids about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I was just kind of wondering, hey, have you guys done it yet? Just kind of joking around with them. And Corinne, who's the nice young lady here, apparently after I left, she told her parents she wanted to do it. And again, she had no idea what it was about, and of course, and she just said she wanted to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And so she went ahead, challenged her uncles, who obviously promptly responded with their own videos, and then I was one of those that was challenged from that. But I think what was so interesting and cool to watch from this was the ripple effect. So many different people. I can tell you right now, it's already gone to, just in my little friend group, at least 5 levels of people. And it's just interesting to see. And so when it was happening, I kind of was like, this is just last few days, and this had happened over really only 5 days. I wanted to find out where did this all come from, and ESPN actually did a really nice piece about it regarding Peter Frates. He's an big college baseball player with Boston College. Actually had a wonderful career there, and he actually was stricken with ALS 2 years ago. And they talked about him and what he's done, and he's actually no longer able to talk. He's in a wheelchair, obviously full-time. It's just an unbelievable horrible disease to have, but Peter's the one that started this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Actually, it's been going on for a few years now, and I wanted to do is, I don't know if what your interactions are with ALS, or if you have any background with knowing someone that's obviously had the disease. It can get people very young, as I've talked about. Peter was only, I think, 25 when it hit him, and it's just a horrible thing. But most people remember it from obviously Lou Gehrig, famous Yankee baseball player, and they do refer to ALS a lot of the times as Lou Gehrig's disease. But what it is exactly, and I just want to take some time here before I get going into the show to talk about ALS and what it is, because a lot of people, what's this all about? I think it's important that you know what it's about, so that when you think about donating, you understand why it's so important. First of all, it's a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Motor neurons reach from the brain to the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord to the muscles throughout your body. the progressive degeneration of the motor neurons in ALS eventually lead to their death. So these cells that allow all the different parts of your body and motor systems to talk to one another stop working. And it starts with, might start with just your legs, and it grows from there. And like I said, inevitably, you can't even speak. With voluntary muscle action progressively affected, patients in later stages of the disease may become, again, totally paralyzed. And inevitably, you can't even breathe. It's just unbelievably horrible. In just the past few weeks, the organization, ALS organization, has raised over $11 million and going. It is not stopping. A lot of people thought this was like just a weak fad per se, but it's spread around the world, from Ronaldo actually doing it over in Spain. I mean, professional soccer players, the biggest celebrities. Everybody's got to put their video out and do a unique one, and it's touching to say the least. This is one of the nastiest diseases I could ever imagine having, and I can only say, let's just keep praying for a cure. My challenge to all the 12s, granted I did my challenge, and I threw it out to a few people who've already done it, by the way, except for Jamie Haig and his son Toucan, Dominic Haig. I expect that video shortly. I know you guys have been busy, but I'll just say that now. My challenge to all of the 12s is do it for yourself. Do the challenge, whether or not you've been, quote-unquote, spoken to. Start it up within your sphere of influence, with your closest friends. You'll be amazed with how many people it touches. And it really is something that's for a good cause. Again, how many people, you think about how many people that are affected with this disease, what it does to them. It's just horrible. And to lead into that more, the NFL, a game obviously we talk about on this show, but for most of those that obviously listen to this show, you understand because you're such big fans of it, with the concussion issues and so forth. ALS, they have found, has stricken many, many, many ex-football players. They have not been able to, quote-unquote, link it directly to these concussions or brain damage that's caused in obviously the high collisions. But it is something that when you see these greats, people that you used to love and watch, not being able to, like I said, breathe, it's just unbelievable, and it's distressing. So this is a horrible disease that needs to be fought. The awareness that's being brought from this wonderful ice bucket challenge which is just hysterical on so many different levels. But it's one where I think we all need to get around. Again, everybody. And there's so many reasons and good things to do it, but take the challenge. Do it yourself if you haven't been challenged already. So much to get into tonight, as I mentioned before, and I've got a little bit of a different show this evening. Tonight's guest is Jason Daniel. He's actually a hairstylist to the 12s, as I like to say. A big fan of the Seahawks. And we're going to actually be talking about hair and fashion a bit this evening. It's not something you might have ever thought I'd be doing on this show. But as we know, all of our fans, we all have our own way of getting ready for game days or Blue Fridays, and unfortunately, Jamie Tanner, who's also going to be on with me, she had to cancel, but for a very good reason. I'll just say that, and I'd like to let her know, if she is listening, that all of us and the 12s, I ask that we keep her and her extended family in our prayers. But regardless, Jason and I are going to get into it a little bit tonight. I'm excited for that. A little bit after the bottom of the hour, so expect that about, again, 7:35 Pacific Standard Time. So without further ado, let's get into our quick takes, and there's always a lot to get into and talk about, so let's start talking. First of all, staying with the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge for just a sec, the act has spread throughout the Seahawks camp this last week like wildfire. Pete Carroll obviously did it. The Schneid got his in, both of them challenging NFC West coaches and NFC West general managers. Pretty funny to watch each video. Also, Russell Wilson, he did his on top of the Space Needle, which, I mean, that's pretty cool to do that. Sherm and Earl did theirs yesterday, and so on. I think even Phil Bates and Ricardo Lockett, who are in an absolute battle for potentially one receiving position on this team, they found time to go ahead and do it with each other. So, again, it's just great to see the awareness spreading like it is for this disease, and for people to spend the money and donate to try to figure out a way to fight it and stop it. Also, as a team, we're getting healthy again. I'll touch on it a little bit more in detail in a second, But I think it's important to note Malcolm Smith had a, interception and a pick six today in practice, his first practice back with the ball club. And you got to think, I mean, what is it with this guy? I mean, he's a backup. He's a Super Bowl MVP. But every time he's in there, something unbelievable happens. I mean, you look back at last year, he had 2 pick sixes in the last 4 games. I think he had 6 interceptions in the last 7 games of the season, something like that. I mean, and then the pick six in the Super Bowl, which we all remember. I mean, Malcolm Smith, I'm glad to see you back, buddy, let's just say. Also, punter John Ryan, I thought, had a funny jab on himself on Twitter regarding the game Friday. He actually said, and this is a quote, "Has anyone heard about the new NFL promotion where they pay you to watch football? It's called being the Seahawks punter. Hashtag, at least I get to hold." So he's referring to himself being the place kicker holder. I think it's interesting, that we'll get into this too about talking about the offense, but the fact that the Seahawks were so dominant this last week, we actually didn't even punt. Again, preseason doesn't mean a hell of beans, but John Ryan, who's one of the best punters in the league, I thought that was pretty funny, taking a jab at himself, sitting around, not doing much during the game. Earl is still returning punts, but apparently, and I think this is the news that I want to share with you more than anything, the VMAC today, Doug Baldwin was working on it as well. Some news came out this afternoon that Doug Baldwin was back there taking some punts, and this might not be a sign of anything, but I personally do believe that you are an exposed player as the punt returner. And the last guy I want to see back there, I hate to say it, is Earl. Not that I don't think Earl's fantastic, which I think he is. I just don't want him exposed to potential injury. Not that I want Doug either, but Earl is so vital. I'm in that camp of Earl being so vital to this team and the defense that he's the last guy we need to get injured. So Doug Baldwin was back there doing some work today, so that's kind of interesting and hopefully some good news. And maybe there might be a little changeover, who knows. But regardless of the fact, let's keep the blocking up, folks. And guys, don't let these guys get hurt, okay? Knock on some wood, which I just did. Also, Therrell Simon, his pick six from Friday, and at the end of that game, 105-yard return to the house that was called back from perceived pass interference, was in fact ruled by the NFL a few days later, yesterday, as an incorrect call. Even though the rest of the teams are having, I think, around the league, seriously hard times working inside encompassing of these new rules of hand contact, illegal use of hands, and so forth between the secondary and the wide receivers. It's amazing to watch the Hawks not get called for these illegal hands plays very often. In fact, we have been one of the fewest penalized teams overall, I think figuring in the last bottom 10 or 11 teams. But also, and this is the important part, the secondary calls. We're not getting those like what has been glaring, I should say, to everybody who's watching any of these other preseason exhibition games in the NFL. I mean, it's just a flag fest. And it's a lot of those flags have to do with these secondary rules that the NFL's testing. I think it's something that's backfiring on the NFL. They're obviously always trying to help the offense. I don't think they get that people also love the defense. And again, it's something that I think they're going to fix. But the good thing, the really bright spot in this whole thing is that the LOB, as physical as they play, they understand the limits. They understand the edge that they can take these things to. And it's been extremely apparent in their play so far. Moving on, I think this is also a very interesting and funny kind of a side note, but Mama Sherman and Richard Sherman did get their Chunky Soup commercial finished, and it actually was showed yesterday. It has been all over the Internet. I'm sure you've seen it. I thought it was pretty clever. Some people think it's kind of goofy. It is, of course, it's goofy. It's for Chunky Soup, Mama's Boy, that whole thing. And but I love the aspect of the fans, our super fans, they quote unquote call them, being involved. I thought they did a pretty good job. Again, it was kind of quirky, but man, there was a lot of blue and green in that commercial. I don't know about you guys, but it was. Definitely, it said Seahawk all over it. So I thought it was pretty funny, and I'm a comic book guy too, kind of at heart, and so it's something where I think it's important to kind of give a shout out to that because it was kind of filmed in that kind of how do you say format per se. Finally, I think Kevin Norwood, Alabama rookie receiver we had this year, is coming along with his foot surgery. They expect him back closer to the end of camp, but he's getting better, according to Coach Pete Carroll. All right, that's it for the quick takes. So let's go ahead and jump right into our opening commentary. I call it Changing Perspectives, but do remember that I have Jason Daniel going to be on with me here a little after the bottom of the hour to talk Seahawks fashion and what that means and some of the links people are willing to go to. And I think that kind of leads into my commentary this evening, because the theme of tonight's episode is about changing perspectives. What do I mean by this? Well, all of us as fans watch games, we read news about our team through our own lens, our own viewpoint. Think about it. When you're gearing up for a Blue Friday or a game day, do you know exactly what you're going to be wearing? I do. I literally know exactly what I'm going to be wearing every game day, whether I'm at the game or I'm in my house or at a buddy's or at a bar or whatever watching it. Blue Friday's a little different. I kind of shape it and do different things there for those days, but it just depends. But there's always blue, I can tell you that much. When you read the latest story about the team, do you read into that narrative that they're showing, or do you jump to conclusions? I call it the sky is falling experience. I myself try to stay very steady overall as someone who's trying to judge these things and share them with you. But then you'll see me and I'll become a basket case about some pass interference call or whatever might happen. I think the point is everybody's unique in how they view either themselves or they view items that they perceive in either news or stories about the team. Watching the first home game of the season and seeing all the personality of our stadium really displayed the originality of our fans. You've got Big Low, obviously, Mama Blue, the Hawk, the Pimp. It goes on. And some of it, whether it's Mr. or Mrs. Seahawk, you really like. Some of it, maybe I think it's going a little too far. But the point is that we take our fandom to unique places, each of us independently. My guest, Jason Daniel, that's going to be on a little bit later here, is a hairstylist. And that does unique styling. He does a lot of unique styling, obviously coloring and so forth for 12s. Imagine making your hair blue and green. Well, people do that. They actually do that. Not stuff that washes out real easy either. To be honest, this was probably the last topic, like I said before, I thought I'd ever be covering on this show. But it is important. Whether you're a lawyer by day and you dress up as a pimp at a game at night, I mean, it's all kinds of different things and stuff you'd least expect. Sunday, what makes you unique and something that's original sometimes can be completely irrational to others. Heck, I had a lawyer friend that would wear on Blue Fridays, he had a Seahawks blue suit with a Seahawk tie. That was where the logo was and everything, and then a little Seahawk tie pin. And, he was a Seahawk fan. You could totally tell. And it was interesting that it was actually before the playoff game in 2000 and I think it was 7. Yes, it was 2007 against the Redskins here, playoff game. He actually was in court that Friday against an actual, attorney he knew, but he didn't know the guy was a huge Redskins fan. And he wore his Redskins suit. It was maroon with a yellow shirt and a Redskins tie, almost like if you were NFL shop online, you would have had these two guys basically posing in these suits. It's hilarious to think that what people will go to support their teams. Again, this is a Friday, and they're both in court. I just wonder what the judge said when he saw this, or she saw it. I mean, it's amazing to think about. We all have our own ideas of being a fan. So why not try to attempt to look at this fandom through another's eyes or perspective? Ask the question, how or what do you think about when it comes to getting ready for a game? I myself, like I mentioned before, always wear the same thing. But when interacting with other 12s, feel free to share perspective. I think it does wonders for taking one's fandom to new levels. And also I think it does wonders for understanding people, communication. This goes farther than just our fandom. This goes into just normal life. We see what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri, and so forth. I mean, just nightmares. And I think, again, a lot of this comes with people just talking, communicating, getting through the stuff that a lot of people, minutia might call it. I got to tell you, I think this has just been an awesome off-season. I think one that we all really are looking forward to when it comes to a season 2014, repeating as Super Bowl champions. Just to think about that. But there are so many unique things about not just being a fan of a team, but being a human being. And in this community as 12s, we are a unique group. And I think there's some great stories there. And I think ones that we should try to share more often. I'll tell you, my favorite fan at Seahawks games has always been the south end zone, middle, right in between the goalposts, right on the ground level, headbanger, the guy that slams his head against and his hands against the side of the wall there the entire game. More than anything, what it does, he shares with everyone, is that butt rock lives, and he's living proof of it. I mean, that's my favorite type of music. I've told you that many times, hair metal. But the bottom line is that we are in a wonderful community of people, all of us different in our own different ways, but we all, on Sundays, like I've said before, are brothers and sisters in arms, and we get together. I think we should try to expand that. Learn and find out more about your compadre when you go to games. Who's that person next to you? You might find that you might have more in common or less in common, but the part is that we can come together every Sunday and be great fans with one another. All right, I'm going to go into a commercial break here. But before I do, I want to mention one of my sponsors, Sam's Tavern. If you're heading downtown to watch a Mariners game or just meet up with some friends, well, think about hitting Sam's Tavern on 1st and Pike in Pike Place. The home of the Red Robin Hamburger, great eats, good beer, awesome people. Take a load off and enjoy your time at Sam's Tavern. You'll be glad you did. Check out the Bloody Mary Bacon Masterpiece, a burger and a Bloody Mary, but the Bloody Mary is actually underneath the hamburger. The hamburger rests on top. It looks delicious. How could you get any better than that? So check out Sam's Tavern for, any night or just hanging with the buddies or maybe going a little pre-funking before an M's game or Seahawks game. Great place to be. Make sure you tell them Double OT sent you. Who knows what might happen? We'll just say that. Okay, again, I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back with my guest tonight, Jason Daniel. Still waiting for him to call in, but regardless, we have a commercial break coming up. I'm going to go ahead and take us out to one of my favorites, my go-to, Norb Kweli from last week, my guest on the show, who just does a fantastic job with NorCam on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, it's growing. Even my buddies' kids love it. I mean, everybody's into it. NorbCam on YouTube. Check it out. But this is one of his fantastic works, Win, 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 by Norb Kweli. And again, we'll be back here in just a few minutes with our guest tonight, Jason Daniel.
Green and white, total domination wins the fight. He's taking control, the one that we trust. The name is Russell Wilson and he's dangerous. We're bigger, faster, stronger, louder than yours. We want the ball, hell yeah, we're gonna score. Hold on to the rock, cause the tendency's hot. You know the 12th man will be rocking the night. Who's gonna hit ya? The Seahawks. Gonna outrun ya? The Seahawks. Who's gonna blitz ya? The Seahawks. What's important now? Win, win, win. Slack ya? The Seahawks. Who's coming at ya? The Seahawks. Who's gonna smack ya? What's important now? Win, win, win. Seattle Seahawks.
you looking at?
Yes, folks, that is Madonna, Vogue. Yeah, it's a football show, but we're going to play a little Madonna tonight because I think tonight's theme, especially having Jason Daniel on here as my guest, is to talk about fashion, talk about hair, talk about what it's like to be a sports fan and encompass all of these items. A guy who does some of the best work out there and a 12 himself. I'm very excited to have him on the show this evening. I hope he enjoyed that little intro music. I worked hard to think this through. Jason, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great. The music's amazing. I'm totally fired up now for this segment.
Yeah, it's not like getting ready for a football game. It's like getting ready for creative hour. That's the way I'm looking at this.
We do get psyched up the same. Hairstylists, we get fired up, we get focused just the same.
Absolutely. You got to have that creative element. You got to inspire yourself, right?
Passion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, I got to tell you, first of all, I'm very happy to have you on. Just met and talked to you through Twitter. Obviously, your fandom for the Seahawks, but also the work that you do. Unfortunately, our other person we were going to have on tonight, Jamie, couldn't make it. And again, I mentioned before, she's in our prayers, her family especially. But what we want to do tonight, and we can't talk about the project you guys are working on, but what I want to do is, first, let's just talk about you. Let's talk about what you do. Maybe introduce yourself to the fans out there, the 12s that listen to this show. Tell yourself a little bit about them, as well as your relationship and fandom for the Seahawks.
Well, I'm a licensed pro hairstylist. I'm in Sacramento, California. And it's Seahawks country, too. Even though people say it's Niner country, it's Seahawks country. I'm all about the beast mode. And I feel it in my heart. I have passion, and just like any other NFL fan or Seahawks fan, I have passion for my work, passion for my team, and every professional should carry that passion. So that spills over, and I love doing. I'm a pro hairstylist. I do specialize. I do color corrections, and also I do fashion colors. And that's what it leads me to working with sports fans or fans of organizations that want to put extensions in or things like that, or highlights that have colors that represent their teams or their organizations and represents, like, you know, what's in their heart. I also do fashion show work. I do photo shoot work. I'm also an educator. My Twitter, you can find me at Jason J. Daniel. You can find me there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Vine. And I also have a YouTube show. So if you Google Jason J. Daniel, you'll find that. In the YouTube show, you'll see we do a video once a week. It just is my episodes in hair and me working with different people in different backgrounds and talking about hair and fashion and also just everyday life, because hair, sports, and those kind of things, they all connect together, and people don't realize that. So I'm called upon to do color work, that's fashion color, and what we were going to do in our project was we were going to do some colors that represent the Hawks.
And, you know, before we get totally into that, because I find this fascinating, one, the effort and work and time that goes into doing this, but again, you talk about educating, you talk about this takes a certain you have to have a certain experience level to do something like this. This isn't easy stuff. But before we get into all that, just as a fan, you're a Seahawks fan, and you know, I don't think it'd be right to start this conversation without hearing what your thoughts were, kind of going back a few months. Granted, now we're starting the 2014 campaign, but going back to winning the Super Bowl, I'd love to get your perspective of what it was like as a fan to get our first championship as a Seahawks 12.
Incredible pride, just incredible pride. I have, in fact, there's a lot of hairstylists actually in Sacramento that were just rooting for the Hawks. And, you know, it's just, it's something to build on, and just young talent and just passion for the future. And I think the future is bright. And I think it's really a smart organization, and I think it's well run. And I think there's some class to it. There's some style. And I think it's a ferocious defense. I know that sounds like a cliche, but defense does win championships, and we all saw that.
Well, you know, you talk about style. We definitely have a swagger, I think, style to our team. The defense especially, right? We've got the Legion of Boom. And there was some changes to the hairstyle there. I mean, Earl used to have the dreads. He took those out. You know, he went with the skinny top, you know, high and tight. But then at the same time, Richard obviously has kept those, and he's got that look. It almost looks menacing how he has that hair put together. And you know, that's a part of the swagger. That's a part of their image. And that kind of takes us into this whole fandom that I've been trying to get into. It's like different people have different ways of showing it. And there's obviously there's crazy things out there. I mean, there's a guy that dresses up as a pimp that goes to the Seahawks game in a lime green suit. But, hey, what do you do? I'd like to get your...
You hang out with them. You hang out with them. That's what you do. Anybody who dresses like a pimp, you hang out.
I'd like to get your opinion of the importance of this type of fandom with people expressing themselves this way. I don't necessarily look at it as a bad thing. I'd like to get your impressions of what it means to the overall fandom experience.
It's like a culture. Hair is a trademark. We all have our tribes. You know, the people, the folks, the principles that we all identify with. And one of the ways throughout history that we've all kind of connected to our tribes was skin, body art, and also hair. And that is what intrigues me and interests me when I talk about hair and the history of hair, the history of people coming together. Hair color, hairstyles, dreadlocks, hair that's very curly, hair that's fashion colors, hair that's gray or salt and pepper. All of those things become our trademarks. There's a lot of women, obviously, who listen to your podcast or your video cast. I guess it's a podcast, right? And there's a lot of men that obviously listen. We all have our own trademarks. Our men have their beards, and women have their type of hair, their texture, the way they move their hair. And you can identify with your team in that way. And I think that's what draws us to teams, that style, that passion, that swagger. And I think that as every one of our favorite NFL players have their swagger, their trademark, their different kind of clothing they wear, their hair is very significant as well. And just you're talking about seeing more of the menacing, you know, the look with the movement of the hair. Also, you know, when they're out on the field and they're doing their thing, you know they're coming by their hair. Especially when they just they're all and that's when they have the uniform. That the uniform identifies and it unifies everyone, but also their style, their hairstyle, also or their hair color will take them to the next level. There are many teams that travel with barbers. In fact, the Niners last year, there was an article where they had a barber that does all the designs in the hair of the players, and they brought them on the road. So a lot of people don't realize that your hairstylist, your barber, is very important to you.
So kind of transitioning this to the work that you do, especially with fans and coloring. I mean, look, I'm a guy. When I go to the barber, I go to the barber down the street. I pay him $12. I'm in and out, right? But there's guys that obviously go and get hairstyling, and so that's obviously important. But girls really take it to sports fans, girls, I've seen take it to a complete other level with obviously dyeing their hair or coloring their hair, and I'm not talking about just putting spray paint in it for a red or a blue or green look or whatever. I mean, actually doing these intricate designs and work that people like yourself are able to do. Just tell people about what goes into this. I mean, this is completely new territory, so I'm just learning from you.
It's an amazing process. It's a lengthy process. It's an expensive process. It's actually a physical process for the guest and for the stylist. And you actually have to have a strategy. You have to have a playbook. You just don't jump into these things. And my mentor has 20 years in the business. So I've been trained by some very, very good people in the Paul Mitchell Network. I've gone to and worked and assisted with people doing some amazing colors. But back to the ladies of the team. A woman's hair is everything for her. And what some of us men do not realize is when they make a change to their hair, that's a statement. And guys, I'm just going to give you some help here. Pay attention, man. Because when your wife or your girlfriend changes her hair and you miss that, brother, it's worse than Crabtree's, rubber fingers in the end zone, man. It's a big miss. You do not want that miss. You want to catch when she changes her style, when she changes her look. But back to so there are women that will change their entire look, and how we do that, and that's their ultimate, that's them showing that their team is everything for them. Because that hair, that just doesn't wash out, that grows out, and that can take up to a year, take up to a complete season. So what we do is we bring them in, and we do an assessment, and you have to make sure that your hair is healthy enough to do it, because it's a lot of trauma on your hair. But in a nutshell, we take that person to blonde, we take all the color out, and we implement a new color system and a new color scheme by painting the color into a canvas that we create.
So, how long does this? You mentioned it could take a year to grow out, but when you do this type of coloring, the actual project, I mean, how many hours are we talking about? What Jamie was looking at doing and is still planning to do. How long does something like that take, that one appointment when you're actually doing the work?
You plan for 4 hours, but it could take up to 6, just depending on how the hair takes in the process, because it's a chemical process. There's chemistry to it. And last night, you can go to my website at Jason J. Daniel, or on Twitter. You can see pictures of the work. We did a color project last night, blue and purple, like Vikings colors, and they were it was an amazing project. We planned for 4, it took us 6 hours. We started at 7, we left at 2 a.m. Yeah, so I got 4 hours sleep.
I was wondering why you responded to me at 3 in the morning. I was like, God, that's pretty
Yeah, this is serious business, and it's real. Because when you get into this and you dedicate to this, and this is why, ladies, or men, there are many men that I have a friend who trains MMA fighters, and he gets a red streak in his mohawk. There are many men and women that when you get involved in this, Paul, this is a dedication, because you're changing your entire look. You're telling someone, okay, you have natural hair color, and then bam, we're going to make you Niners red, Vikings purple, Seahawks green. You're going to have this for about 6 or 7 months. I mean, it's psychological. So you have to coach the client, and it's a physical process, because they're sitting in the chair. You put bleach on their hair. You have to protect the scalp. This bleach actually has ammonia that opens up the cuticle of the hair, so saps that old color out. and then you have to rebuild the hair by going through another process that takes about an hour to put your hair's made of protein. So it's a protein chemistry. So you have to put protein back in the hair, make sure it's healthy enough so that you just don't damage it to the point of unrecognition, so that it will actually take that color and do that nice, bright, amazing color that you get, so you can rock that and you can promote, the love for your team. So if you go to my Twitter, Jason J. Daniel, you go to Facebook, Jason J. Daniel, or my Instagram at Jason J. Daniel. The YouTube video isn't up yet, so I'm not going to send you there. But you can go there to see my past projects. You'll be able to see what we did last night, and that was just real. I still have blue and purple on my hands from it. It's a physical process. I was on my feet for 6 hours pretty much, because you have to monitor the hair, watch the hair, time the hair, watch the chemicals, work with the chemicals. I had an assistant who's amazing, and also we had a guest that was amazing. She was willing to make that entire change. It's a lifestyle change. It's a culture change for some people. But for some of these, it's in their heart, and they want to do it, and that is the ultimate repping of your club right there, is to change your hair. If you're a lady, that's everything.
And obviously hair is the first thing most people see. Your face, that's the first impression. And we live, I don't want to say unfortunately, but we live in a society where first impressions, they always say, pardon the pun, is everything. And things have changed a great deal where, it's more acceptable society-wise to have, be heavily tattooed and so forth and show your passion, whatever it might be, in that skin art, or having more outrageous hair colorings. And when I think of outrageous, I think of the movie, what am I trying to say here? It's the big movie.
There's a lot of big movies, Paul. A lot of
The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games.
And, there you go. That's a big movie.
And the reason I'm thinking of them is because of the people in the Capitol. They have the craziest looks, right? I mean, stuff that people aren't doing necessarily today. Maybe they're doing them in maybe runway type scenarios where they're doing that kind of crazy stuff to their hair. But my point I'm getting at is that it's becoming more socially acceptable to have that look. And I guess the question I'm trying to get at for you is there a line that you feel is maybe too far, maybe it crosses the line somewhere that maybe it kind of becomes stupid, I guess, to a point?
That's a great question. It depends on the person. It depends on their lifestyle. We're trained as good hairdressers. I'll just be honest. Good hairdressers are trained to have an amazing consultation with their guest and probe for that and find out if they're really. We have to be kind of counselors. We have to find out, are you psychologically ready for that? So, Paul, I think if you want to talk about taking it too far, I think it really depends on your lifestyle. Some people, they're going to get fired if they come in with green hair, purple hair, red hair that's fiery red.
Right.
Because so our job as a hairdresser is not just to get you in the chair, take your money, change your look, and then, tell everybody, hey, look what I did. There's an art to it. There's a style. And if my guest does not leave excited and happy and prepared for, I'm going to rock this, then I made a mistake. I didn't do my part. I didn't consult with them. So that's one line. Psychologically, I've had people come in my chair and they'll ask for something, and I'll say, I just don't think you're ready to go down there, and let me talk to you about that. And I'll show them pictures, and I'll take the time because it's important to me. That's what it's about. It's about the art of it, not trying to just drastically change someone's life. The other issue is there hair have they taken care of it? Is it in the right condition? If I put bleach on someone's hair, and bleach is a harsh word, but we call it lightener in the business, or blonding paste. If I put blonding paste on someone's hair and they're not prepared for it and they haven't taken care of their hair, it could break off and it could give them something that's called a chemical haircut. And you do not want a chemical haircut. So those are pretty much the two lines. I think that if someone wants to take their hair color to the level that works for their lifestyle, I say go for it. I say the rules apply just with tattooing and body art. I think if you can live with that and you're happy with it, and it can make you, if you can wake up in the morning, this is the test, I tell them, and you look in the mirror and you see your colors that you put in your hair, and you feel amazing, and you feel passionate about your team and passionate about your day, then we did the right thing. You made the right decision. If you're not sure about it, if you're unclear, then do something else. Buy an awesome jersey. Spend some money on that. You can take that off.
And those can get expensive as well.
Or buy wigs, because we do wigs too. You can color wigs. There are a lot of alternative ways to do it. But, that's pretty much where I would draw the line.
Okay, so let's talk about this team, the Seahawks, and obviously, like I said, we've got different personalities, we've got different expressions with their hair. I mean, I'm thinking of the guys with the long dreads. You know, I know James Carpenter has them, and he definitely looks menacing. You've got obviously Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, as you said before, and then obviously you've got the Shermanator. I mean, everyone's got kind of a different look. You got Russell Wilson; he's got that faux hawk going kind of right now.
Right.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite from a style perspective player on this team?
You know, I like Russell. I really do. I like that. You know, doing that. The faux hawk actually is honestly, it's kind of it's not really trendy. So to have that, it's actually a statement. You know, not a lot of guys have that faux hawk anymore. It's kind of going more shorter hair. So for him to do that and rock a suit and those kind of things, that's him being a leader, and you see that in style. Again, when you're all in an organization where you are known by your number and your uniform, you have to find ways to bring your original, you know, your individual style out. And I do like his style, like his swag, and he backs up on the field. I mean, he's what can you say? I mean, he's lights out, and I also think that, hey, if you're lights out like that, you can do whatever you want with your hair. You can rock a style that is a little different, but it shows that you're an individual. And faux hawks are kind of MMA, too. They're kind of fighting sports, if you notice that. Mm-hmm. More guys in the fighting sports have the faux hawks, or the mohawks are kind of coming back in, like, you know, Chuck Liddell, Rampage kind of mohawk kind of coming back in. So that's also something, too, that it's kind of a fighting thing, like kind of a, you know, hey, you know, almost like the dreadlocks. Dreadlocks are very tribal, very earthy, very, you know, just very real, you know, very out there, outspoken. In dreadlocks, that takes a lot of work and effort and love to make dreadlocks look amazing, and that's almost like a color project. To decide to dread your hair doesn't come back from that. You cut your hair. If you don't want dreadlocks, you have to cut them. So when they're in there, they're in there. So things like that. You know, I think that a lot of it has to do with who you are on the team, kind of your position, you know, what works for. I mean, I would say if Russell has dreadlocks, it may be tough to have the vision he has, you know. So hair also plays a part in what you do, and there's some practical things to it as well.
So here's a question. This just came to me. So
and let me throw this out there to you too.
Go ahead.
If everyone in the back, if you got guys in the backfield with dreads, or if you got guys on the defense, that's going to be confusing too, because there's also a point where everything is so fast that everybody kind of looks the same, and there's kind of a strategy to that as well.
So this again, while you were saying all that, I was really thinking about Sherm, and Sherm has, I got to say it, I would call them amazing dreadlocks, because they seem so alive. Like, they don't seem like, they almost seem, I hate to say it, they almost seem fake. I mean, they're so pliable. It's not like, it doesn't look like or seem like their hair. I mean, he like just wraps them around his head like they're just string coming off of his head. How does he do that? I mean, that, like you said, must take hours of maintenance, whether it's weekly or monthly, to keep healthy, so that the hair doesn't, I don't know, fall out or something. It seems so alive.
Right. Yeah. That's a great question. There's different ways. Dreadlocks is very, again, earthy, and there are different methods and techniques to keeping dreadlocks healthy. But pretty much, it's a daily maintenance. It's a daily routine. There's protein oils that are made out of macadamia and certain nuts that really help hair stay unfrizzy, so doesn't catch. It takes a really amazing professional to take the time to make sure that they're maintained and they grow well. And then they build up, and you also put kind of a color, a clear color. So you could also coat them, so where they have that nice pliability, and you know, especially with all the wear and tear on them. And it takes years. It takes years to actually grow dreadlocks out and to keep them strong and maintenance. So yeah, it's pretty much every day. And then he's probably seeing his stylist probably once every week or so. But some guys are like that with their barber. They're in every week to get their $8 trim, and they're on. You know, so it's kind of the same kind of a principle. But it's a dedication. Again, you just don't end up with them. It takes time to get there.
I got to say, this has been probably one of my most unique segments I've ever done on this show. I never really thought some guy that talks, analyzes and breaks down film about the Seahawks would be talking about hair and styling. But I do find it fascinating. So as we go to kind of the end of our time here, Jason, I really want to hear about your opinion of this upcoming season. Obviously, we're all excited. We have high expectations coming off winning a Super Bowl. But what are you seeing with our play so far, and what are your expectations ultimately for the 2014 season?
Well, everybody expects a championship. I mean, I guess that's fair. I think if you don't make, really, if you don't, and I mean, it's, and I know you've probably talked about this. I mean, the amazing defensive domination in the Super Bowl. I mean, how do you beat that? It was almost like lights out, we're done, drop the mic. What can you say? It's almost like the team just will probably have to develop a brand new identity and win in just a different way with a different style. And that leads back to what I talked about and what I do is style. And sometimes you cannot keep the same style. That keeps you stagnant. And that's how, as hairdressers, we look at it that way. The professionals coach you to change your style, change your look twice, 3 times a year. It will keep your mind fresh. It will keep you creative. When you change your style, you see things differently. It gives you a fresh perspective. So I would say I would predict a style change. Maybe I know there's a lot of throwing. Maybe a little more, open it up. Maybe just even more opening it up with throwing the ball. You might see that kind of not to really throw other teams off, because I think that's a fallacy. I think it's more to open up a different style so that the coaches can allow the players to just find a different way to win, and that confuses, I think, other teams. Not that you have a different defensive scheme or offensive scheme; it's that you're actually defending differently, and it's very natural. Or you're winning, you're scoring differently, and it's very natural. So I think if their style changes, I think that it's going to be an exciting season. There's going to be some ups and downs. I mean, that's super cliche, but that's football. But I do think that if they don't repeat, I think it's going to be a disappointment, but I think it might be a different kind of repeating. And I think Russell he's proven a lot, but I just think that, I'm sure you've talked about this, he's just beginning.
Yep, yeah, I mean, so young, so much in front of him, and especially as a quarterback in this league, you learn so much by playing, and it takes time to reach your pinnacle. I mean, Peyton Manning, in his first 2 seasons, had 52 touchdown passes just like Russell, but he also had 45 interceptions, while Russell had 19. So the growth curve, everybody's different. Well, I got to tell you, Jason, this was very interesting, and I really appreciate you coming on. I want you, before you to go, please share again all your different sites, social media, so forth. But also, I'll make sure I get those up. I know I have your Twitter account linked to my website on 12for12s.com. But I want to make sure I get all the rest of those on there so they can live in the archive. So if people want to get more information about you, they can. But please share all of them right now if you can.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to say it's an honor. I appreciate the ability and the opportunity to talk to your listeners and the men and women out there. And I just say, thank you for listening and allowing me to come on your show. You can find me on the internet at Jason J. Daniel. The J is a J, not J-A-Y, but just an initial. You can Google me, Jason J. Daniel. I have a pretty solid Google profile. If you Google me, you'll find my images, my videos, my Twitter. But that's pretty much my brand. At Jason J. Daniel, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Vine, and my YouTube channel. If you want to check in on my adventures once a week, check out my YouTube channel. You can just Google Jason J. Daniel. We just did some amazing fashion color last night, and we're going to also do a Seahawks project very shortly, hopefully. And that'll be documented on my channel, and then you'll be able to put it on your website. But again, thank you so much. I'm also in Citrus Heights. Beauty Works is my salon if you're in the Sacramento Citrus Heights area. And I'll just give you the address very quickly. It's 6720. 6720 Van Buren Lane in Citrus Heights, California, 95621. And also, my address, my salon is branded all over everything. And if you want to come out and say hi, and I do everything, or hit me up on Twitter, tweet me and mention the podcast. Make sure Paul's Twitter handle is in there. maybe we can give you a good deal, get you a free product, do something crazy, and get you an interview on Paul's podcast.
That's awesome. I was born in Sacramento, but I left there when I was 3, so I hardly remember any of it. But Stacktown is my hometown, I guess, in a way. Well, Jason, thank you again for coming on. This has been an absolute pleasure and eye-opening experience for me, to say the least. I've learned a lot tonight. And, hey, all I can say from here on out is just keep going. Go Hawks, right?
That's right. Thank you, sir, and have a great evening.
All right. Take care, Jason.
Okay.
All right, folks, that was Jason Daniel from his salon hairstyling extraordinaire down in Sacramento, California, and I'm really looking forward to being able to share with you again all his different social media, and obviously he does a lot of work and some of the great styling stuff he does with some passionate fans, and I'm really looking forward to his work on the Seahawks project. I know it's going to be coming up here soon. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break before I come back and finish up the Hawks 12. We'll go to break here. You know, what am I thinking? I'm thinking, you know what? All In, We Be the Loudest. Great cut by the band One, Eric Keith and his gang. This is a new anthem out for this season, Seahawks 2014. This is 12 for 12's Radio. Your host, Paul Beyer. We'll be back in just a second.
We loudest. Our stadium's the most crowded. We loudest. We loudest. Current record holders, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm a 212, bleeding blue and green. Come get your eardrums beat up on us, guaranteed. Here is history, it is a scene. Fair weather's never better. Residents of the here and Seattle, some can disagree. Stuck in disbelief. You mess with 112, you messing with the whole family tree. These other teams will stand a chance for business clean. We operate off facts, know what a player thinks. Sticking together pound for pound, so we don't give up. Lose or win, true sportsmanship, we always showing love. Never going out without a fight when we throw them clubs. Safe to say we shut them down till it's over, bruh. That's a big low. Painted hawk, kid, and Paul the Sea Pimp, Mama Blue, Mr. Mohawk. I know you see the rooster, Mr. Seahawk. I got you, we the loudest, raise the roof up. We loudest. Our stadium's the most crowded. We the loudest. We loudest. Current record holders, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yo, 12 man, let them know that we the Super Bowl champs. Tell your mama, tell a stranger, bring a friend. Everybody yell out, we all in. Come on, we all in. We all in. We all in. We all in. Tell your mama, tell a stranger, bring a friend. Everybody yell out, we all in. We loudest. Our stadium's the most crowded. We the loudest. We loudest. Current record holders, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We're my lady 12, yeah, we known to get it cracking. Messing up the heads, guard your brain and get a fracture. Feel like what happened, each opposing fan demand an answer. How Seattle gets so loud. The 12th man is madness, known for the passion, lights, camera, action. Rain, hail, sleet, know the 12's gon' be standing. Crossing the chasm, 12 are bragging everywhere across the planet. It don't matter what city you land in. Interviewers get distracted by the amount of attention that we're drawing after. It's a new chapter, you can doubt if you want. Bet that doubt is a chip that only makes us louder. Yeah, we make noise in the stand, shouting we the loudest. Turned up to the max, so you know we bout it. Bout it, no limits, we get rowdy. My team's rising up to the challenge, while your team is loud.
We loudest. Our stadium's the most crowded. We the loudest. We loudest. Current record holders, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yo, 12 man, let them know that we the Super Bowl champs. Tell your mama, tell a stranger, bring a friend. Everybody yell out, we all in. Come on, we all in. We all in. We all in. We all in. Tell your mama, tell a stranger, bring a friend. Everybody yell out, we all in.
Hello, this is Paul from Double Overtime and the 12 for 12's radio show. I am proud to announce one of our sponsors, www.stickersnorthwest.com. Don't forget the www. All of us here at Double Overtime Radio are proud to announce our latest sponsor, www.stickersnorthwest.com. Creating some of the stickiest Seahawks, 12s, Mariners, Husky original designs to share with your friends or just your favorite book or folder. Some of the coolest local flair options you can find. check out www.stickersnorthwest.com and make your purchase today. Don't forget to use promo code PAUL20T and receive 20% off your next purchase. Do it today. You'll be sticky for sure. Again, that's www.stickersnorthwest.com. Remember to spell Stickers Northwest out. And also, when you use the promo code, it's PAUL2OT. Now back to the program.
This one was formed together, 95, and just...
All right, shout-outs, and we'll wrap up the show here. Again, thank you for all those that listen live, all those that listen on demand or archive. You are the reason I'm doing this show, and I can't thank you enough, all of you, the 12s. I mean, that's what we are. We're family, like I say. We are family. 12 for 12s Radio just keeps on growing. I can't believe it. A little old show of mine. Now, almost a year in the book. We're coming up on 50 episodes. Tonight was 45. 5 more to get to 50. God, I just can't believe I've done this. 16 days to the season opener, folks. The clock keeps on ticking. I can't wait. 9-4, Chargers, or I should say Packers, beware. I'm going to do a real good show on 9-2, by the way, with Jacob Westendorf of the Packers Radio Network, and we're going to talk, obviously, back and forth. So stay tuned for September 2nd, Tuesday. Great show previewing the season opener against the Packers with Jacob Westendorf of Packers Radio. Check out the past shows we've done this last week. Norb Kawili of NorbCam. That was a fun show again. The second time he's been on. I looked at this. Is kind of interesting, but Norb was my guest on the 22nd show I ever did, and he was also my guest on my 44th show. That's amazing. Perfect doubling. I mean, I guess he'll be my guest on my 66th show. I don't know, but it was great to have Norb on of NorbCam. Check him out on YouTube, like I mentioned before. He provides some great music for the show, and I thank him for that. Build the Tip. Chris Bauer, Joe Michaels, obviously the bonus reaction I had from Jason Coyner on that show, getting the LOB in the game of Madden 15. But Build the Tip, something everyone needs to get behind. Again, if you haven't, people, please go visit Build the Tip. Check out the videos, buildthetip.com. What these gentlemen have done, I'm supporting it. I'm involved with these guys. It's something that's right. It's what we should do, build a statue of the greatest moment in the history of Seattle sports as far as I'm concerned. Moving on, for those that are listening, again, and that follow us on all the social media sites, please do us the favor of not only following us, but continuing to retweet, share, like, all the stuff we're sending out. All of it is intended to be shared with all the 12. So please keep doing that, and thank you again to all those that do help with the show and all the background, including Phoebe, Rachel, Joe, Tina, obviously my hosts on Double Overtime being Tim and Barry, every one of you guys, Tay, Shelbs, all of you do a fantastic job. TJ, thank you so much. Shout out to the folks in Texas, the fellas at Subway that always listen to my show every week. Again, I can't thank you enough. Get the latest from everything we do, 12for12s.com, 12FOR, 12S.com. My Twitter handle, @PBizzle, and my new one I have before the radio show, @12for12s, with an S, radio. Find me there. And Facebook, 12 for 12's radio page, as well as Paul Beyer, my little old page, which is obviously all about Seahawks. I do update everything 3 to 4 times a day. I send a big update once a week or once a day on Facebook in the morning. I try to get that out as early as possible, but it gives everyone exactly what they need every day to know what's going on in Seahawk world. Lastly, again, all of our shows can be found on Stitcher, Xbox Music, Zune Music, iTunes, TuneIn Radio. If you're not catching the live broadcast, do check those out on archive. It's available on all the platforms. Tune in to Double OT tomorrow. Tim, Barry, and myself will discuss the Mariners, what's going on there. Obviously, the road trip, they won tonight against Philadelphia, so hopefully they can win the series by getting tomorrow's game. But they beat up pretty good on them today, which is great to see. And again, continuing this great ball playing. How this all finishes out, we won't know, but they're definitely in the conversation. Let's just say for the West crown. I mean, the AL West is opening up. It's not determined quite yet with the A's and the Angels not playing up to snuff. Okay, well, that's it for the show tonight. Thanks for everyone that's sticking around a little late here, 15 minutes over. But as I always do on 12 for 12's radio, hosted by yours truly, Paul Beyer, I end this show with the only band, the one and only band that I love, and that is Iron Maiden, Up the Irons. And tonight we're going back to old reliable. Yeah, that's right. We're going to play The Prisoner.
We want information. Information. Information.
Who are you?
The new number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Once again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. This is 12 Patrols Radio, your host, Paul Beyer, signing off, for the evening of Tuesday, August 19th. Have a great one. Go Hawks, go Mariners. We'll see you next week.